radio show. I'm your host, Lorien Fenton. I'm very happy to have you all with me here tonight, the week before the holiday season hits us all. And I did some recordings this weekend for next week's show. So we do have a holiday special in the can, as they say, for next week's show. I wouldn't abandon you guys. I'm trying not to. It's very hard because a lot of times I'm traveling on Wednesdays, and it makes it very difficult for me to get in here and do a live show, but I'm really trying, you guys. So I did record for my friends, and you will be hearing Chuck Paloka, my buddy Plutronus, and MJ, guess what? I just got an email back from him saying, "What's up with Skype?" So I don't know what he's doing. So our guest this evening, he says, "What's up with Skype? Is it still free? It's asking for a billing address, and I need to fill it out." So I don't know what's going on, but maybe you can help him in some way. Do you want me to ask for a phone number so you can call him behind the scenes? Yes. There he goes. Okay. He's on now. Okay, folks. Well, I just took care of my production duties for the night, so here we go. Okay. My guest tonight is James, God, I can never pronounce his name correctly. He's going to have to help me with this. I believe it's Heonakos, but I'm not sure. So we'll ask him when he gets on. But in the meantime, I just wanted to tell you guys, I am really sorry I haven't been here a whole lot this year. I'm really trying not to miss any shows. And if I do miss them, I'm going to try to pre-record something for you. But anyhow, the holiday special this year is going to be Chuck Paloka, my buddy Plutronus, Melinda Leslie, and Grant Cameron. Because as you guys all know, and here comes the rant. The big rant. No, this was going to be a little rant tonight. I'm very concerned about what's going on in ufology this weekend with the Post putting out the article and Trump being asked about UFOs in the press conference. I don't know what happened today because I've been so busy I haven't had a chance to figure it out. And all the things that's going on with the To the Stars. Oh, good. I'm so sorry, everybody. I'm yawning. I can't believe first time I think I've yawned on air without muting ever. Oh my God. I just can't believe I did that. But it's been a wild 3 days. I mean, literally when that Post article hit, my inbox had about 45 emails in it. My phone was ringing. I didn't know what was going on because I've been too busy to pay attention, and I was at a fair in Oakland, and I was like, "What's going on?" And I finally realized something must have broke with the Tom DeLonge thing because I've been talking to Grant and Melinda a few days earlier, and they said, "Oh, something big's coming." I'm like, "Oh, okay, whatever," as if I cared. See, this is the thing that people think I actually care. I don't care because it's not true disclosure. This is the part that's making me nuts. I was pounding my fist on my show on Monday. I mean, literally, what people don't understand. I don't know if it's you guys or my audience or whoever, because I think my audience is brilliant, but I'm biased. What can I say? So I'm sitting here, phone's blowing up. I'm listening to all these messages, and they're all like, disclosures happen. And I'm thinking, well, did the president get up in front of everybody and say something? And I text a few people. They go, "Oh, no, but there's articles out. There's things happening. Something came out it's coming out today and Sunday." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I wait, and I get home. It's late Saturday night. I had to go to my uncle's in Colfax. I mean, I'm driving all over. I finally get home. It's like 3:00 in the morning, and I'm waiting for the big event to happen, right? The big disclosure thing, and the president's going to stand up in front of everybody. And hi, James, but we don't need video, sweetheart. Okay. The video's going to take away from our bandwidth.
All right.
Okay, so just go ahead and turn it off. Don't put a thing over it because that's not going to stop the bandwidth. That's just going to block the camera.
I didn't know what to switch on, so I just hit the speaker then, right? Yep.
Yeah, you put, okay, folks, we're going to do a little production here. James, what you do is there you go. Good job. All right. We knew we could do it. All right. So anyhow, back to my little spiel here. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, where's the president? What's happened? Is it the end? I don't have to put on UFOCon this year. Yay. That's all I'm thinking is, oh my God, I might not lose a bunch of money. And I'm like, oh, please let disclosure happen so I can get back to my life. That's all I'm thinking at this point, right? I'm like praying to God. I'm praying to my angels, my aliens, everybody. I'm going, okay, please, dear God, let it happen. Let it happen right now. I don't want anything to do with this anymore. Please let me off the hook. I don't have to do radio. I don't have to do TV. I can go get a farm and have goats and make jewelry and make pots and have a regular life like normal people, come home and cook a dinner like a normal human being and not have to work 14 hours a day to pay all these loans back for all these events I put on. And, I'm thinking, oh, it's finally happened. I'm free. And that's what I'm thinking. I'm actually getting kind of ecstatic at this point. It's Sunday afternoon. I'm like, oh, it's going to happen any minute now. The president's going to show up and it's all going to be over and everybody's going to know it's real. The UFOs are there. The aliens are there. They're going to tell us all about the species and it's all going to be done. And then I waited some more. Another article comes out. I still wait. And then everybody's talking about it on YouTube and Facebook and everybody's talking about it, but I'm like, well, where's the disclosure though? Where's the 24/7 TV coverage like the OJ trial? Where's that? That's what I'm waiting for. I'm not getting it. And I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for Whitley Strieber and Stanton Friedman and Greer and Travis. And I'm waiting for the gurus of the UFO community because, of course, they'd never have somebody like me up there talking about disclosure. Of course not. And I'm waiting for all those people to show up on CNN and Fox and I don't even know what the network stations are because I don't listen to them or watch them, so I have no idea. But bottom line, I'm waiting for this all to take place. I'm like, okay, it's going to happen now, right? Nothing, not a thing. And I'm like, what? The only people really talking about all this are people in the UFO community. So I'm a little concerned and a little miffed. And hold on a second, folks, I've got a cough. Oh my God! So now I'm getting so riled up, I'm going to start coughing. See. I can't talk about this much longer, and I'm sure you guys are sick of hearing about it from every other talk show host out there. But basically, it's some kind of weird little disclosure, and it doesn't really mean a whole lot. They are admitting that the military chased a UFO. That's about as far as it goes. And I called a good friend of mine who I can't tell you guys who it is because it just causes him nothing but problems. But I called him today, and I said, look, I don't know what's going on. You've got to tell me what you think's going on. And he said to me, he goes, this isn't really disclosure. This is just letting people know that the military chased something. He said, Lorien, they're never going to let the people know what I know. And I said, really? He goes, I can't talk about it, but trust me, if the population of this planet knew what I know, then it would all be over. There'd be nobody going to work. There'd be nobody doing nothing. It would be all over. He goes, because the magnitude of it is so far beyond our thought process that they couldn't handle it. Basically he said, just like the movie, you can't handle the truth. And, the more I'm around this, the more I do it, the more stuff I find out, the more stories I hear, the more things I hear from these people who have been entrenched for years and years and years. I just go, they're right. Maybe they're right. Maybe we don't want to know. I mean, I certainly have no problem knowing about my aliens. My aliens have never steered me wrong. My aliens have kept me alive. They saved my life countless times. They've talked to me in my head and told me what to do to keep from dying. They have kept me alive when I've been so sick. I mean, I haven't even told you guys about New Year's Eve in 2013 or 14. I got botulism. I got food poisoning so bad that I'm going to tell you what happened, but it was so bad and I knew I was going to die. And I thought, I'm just going to lay here and die because I certainly do not want to die in the hospital. I'm not dying in the hospital. There's no way I'm dying in the hospital. I'm dying here at home. And at least I knew my angels were with me at home. So I was like, I don't know how the hospital is going to be with all that. You know, who knows what kind of entities hang out at a hospital, right? So I'm laying there and I know I'm dying. And I hear this voice tell me, no, we can't let you die. You are very sick, but we can't let you die. You have work to do. I'm like, great, wonderful. So I got to lay there and be deathly ill for 3 days. It took me 3 days to get out of bed. I was so sick. Oh, my God. And so I finally got up. I started feeling a little better and a little better. And I thought to myself, you know, this is just so amazing to me that they can control me like this. It's really quite, you know, it's like I'm a puppet on a string in a weird way, but in another way, I'm very thankful that they're looking out for me, you know, truly are angels to me. I mean, you know, maybe they're hideously ugly looking alien creatures. I don't know. I've never seen them. You know, the only thing I've ever seen is this beautiful light. And the one time that it was by the bed, I could have sworn it was an angel because I couldn't see it. I was just falling asleep. It touched me in the forehead, took me to the place of love and light and absolute amazement there in that place. And it just felt like such a loving being that I can't imagine it being a gray. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's a good, you know, maybe I need to find somebody who's had contact with the grays where it felt like it was so loving that they couldn't, you know, they weren't afraid, you know, because I was not afraid. I was not afraid in the slightest. There was no fear in me at all around these beings. Now, I've had other experiences where I was afraid, and there's a huge difference between those two experiences. Man, the evil John Lennon experience I had a long time ago, that thing, I was petrified. I was absolutely petrified during that encounter, whatever it was. And you guys all laughed. The evil John Lennon, yeah. Anyhow, so you know, you guys, I'm disappointed. You know, the whole thing it may not all be over yet. You know, I don't know if it's all over yet, and I think there's a lot more to come. But I'm so disappointed, and I'm just so nonplussed, and I just don't care. And you know, if this whole Tom DeLonge thing, this whole Through the Stars, the whole 9 yards to me is just a big shill. It's just a big shill game or shell game, and they're shills, and the whole thing is just, you know, look this way while we direct you in this direction. You know, it's like, and don't look behind your back because we don't want you to know what's really going on. It's just that thing all over again. Same old people behind it, as Grant has been saying all along, and Melinda, and it's just the same old, and I'm over it. I don't know about you guys, but it doesn't mean a thing for me. I'm going to have a Merry Christmas in spite of them trying to get my hopes up, you know? It's kind of what we got to do. Well, having said all that, that's pretty much my little spiel for tonight. I don't want to go on too long because I really love to get to our guest here. And I just want to say to you guys, it's going to be a very interesting 2018. And we'll talk about that in 2018, but I think it's going to be a very, very interesting 2018. You know what we're going to do? This year is going to be the year we separate the men in black from the white hats and separate the contactees from the non-contactees. What this is doing is it's polarizing the UFO community into military black ops people running the show and exposing themselves like they never have before, and the people who are having contact with extraterrestrials and other dimensional beings. And it's going to polarize the two to a very big extent. And I really believe that. So that's what I think 2018 is going to bring, and we'll see. You know, it's going to be very, very interesting. Okay, my guest tonight is James Heonakos. Did I say that right, James?
That's Heonakos.
Heonakos. Oh, God. I'm so, you know, it's so bad. I wish it would just flow off my tongue like it does for you so well. Anyhow, how are you doing tonight? Are you there, James?
Yeah. Did you hear me? Yeah, I'm doing
pretty
good.
I can hear you. We're having a little bit of an issue. I'm getting an echo, and there's some... How far away from the microphone are you?
Well, I'm close now. How's that?
That's better. Can you get a little closer?
How's this?
That's even better. What do you think, MJ? Do you think it's good? See if MJ says anything. There we go. Well, we're waiting for MJ. Anyhow, so James, how are you, dear?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good.
That's good. What are you going to do for Christmas?
Not much. Just kick back at home. I got nothing
Okay.
planned. I'm still out of work. I should be going back to work the day after or 2 days after Christmas. So I've been out of work since July.
Oh my God! Well, what happened that you got out of work? Because I knew you weren't working, but I thought that was your choice.
I'm a new construction plumber, and sometimes the jobs don't go when they're planned to. So there's 3 jobs coming right now, so I'm going to be really busy in the next 6 months. But these past 6 months, I've done nothing.
Wow, that's not good, sweetheart. Well, I'm really glad that you scraped up enough money though to get a ticket to the next John F. Kennedy event we're having in Washington, D.C. So are you looking forward to it?
Oh, yeah. Well, I was getting $572 $672 a week in unemployment. So I was actually paying my bills easier than when I was working.
I was going to say, honey, that's more than I make it a whole, oh, don't even get me started. Well, you weren't too bad off, but were they going to cut that off for you eventually?
Next week, I would get $120 if I put in for it. So I'm not putting in for it. So I should be getting a Christmas bonus after Christmas because that's when I'm going back to work. So.
Okay, well, good. I'm glad you're surviving okay and everything's all right because, I got to see at these conferences. Now, we met a few years ago at a conference, and we have a lot of friends in common and a few enemies. We love those enemies. Got to keep them close, right? And and you are an experiencer. Why don't you tell the people here on the show tonight about your first encounter?
Well, the first one I knew about was me and my brother were getting dressed to go out. We were getting dressed to go to church. We wanted to go out and play before my dad took us to church. And I beat him by about 30 seconds out the door. And when he came out, I was gone. And I was gone for over an hour before they finally found me in the backyard with 2 other kids that had been missing that they didn't know about with chew cigarettes under a canoe in my backyard.
Now, wait a minute. Okay, let's examine this for a second here. There were 2 other kids missing at the same time you were, and you were gone for about an hour, and everybody's looking all over the neighborhood for you. But was there anybody looking for the other 2 kids as well?
Nope, nobody knew they were gone because they weren't ready to go to church. They were, just out playing. So.
Okay, gotcha. Now, what's this thing about a canoe and cigarettes? I'm confused.
Yeah, me too. Well, we had a canoe. We lived in a 3-story, and the people on the 3rd floor, I believe, had a canoe in the backyard. And they had been looking for me, and they hadn't seen me. So they put my brother out front. My dad went up to go call the police after about an hour and a half or so, and all of a sudden I appeared under this canoe that was on 2 horses, and all 3 of us were right under the canoe with the cigarettes, not smoking them or nothing, not lit, but just with chew cigarettes and matches. I guess they said we were trying to light them or something. So,
well, that's interesting that the cigarettes and the matches show up with you guys. I've never heard of anything like that before. Do you think they were there before you guys were put in that spot?
No, I think they put the chew cigarettes there with us just to, like the kids are playing around here as opposed to, they always put a prop, right? That's what I've heard. They put a prop, and that's like a prop and kind of chew cigarettes,
You know something? I have heard weird little stories like that over the years, too, and I never quite put it together as being a quote-unquote prop, but that's very interesting that you say that. Wow. How amazing. I'm going to have to start asking all my contactees if they've ever had anything show up with them when they've had missing time and see what they say,
Mm-hmm.
So, so you guys are found. Now you're getting a lot of trouble, I'm assuming.
No, they're just happy to find me,
Your dad didn't get all mad at you and everything. Oh, that's good. I'm so glad to hear that. Because I hate it when the parents, they sometimes reprimand their kids for disappearing and really get angry with them. And the kids don't even know what's happening. They're so confused because suddenly they're not, they're there and not there. And they think they just stepped outside the front door and now they're, somewhere else. And, it's really tough on the kids. But having said that, maybe the reason your parents weren't too upset is because maybe they'd had something like that happen to them. Do you know if your father had had any contact before?
Not my mom, but my dad. The second time I was taken with my dad, and they actually took the car with us too. So.
Yeah, I'm having trouble hearing you again, James. Where are you at in relation to the microphone? Oh,
I'm like inches away. Is that good?
Oh, there you go. Now I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay inches away, but maybe it's backing off by an inch or two. But anyway, the second time, my dad asked who wants to go to buy a new car, and I'm just jumping up and down, going like, "Let's go, let's go!" And my two sisters and brother, they just stood there, and each one of them did the same thing. They all went, "No, I don't want to go," and shrugged their shoulders. And I found that also is like a strange memory that they put in people. They actually put it in me too. I recall when my brother asking me, "Where did you go?" and his frustration, and me saying, "I don't know," and I'm shrugging my shoulders too, like your neck and your shoulders going, "Well, I don't know.
Well,
kept saying.
Your brother sounds like he has been taken as well. Is that true?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, from what Sandy Mack is telling me, it's just me for some reason, and I really don't know why they don't take my brother. And they did not want him for some reason. I don't know.
That's okay. Were they taking your dad as well?
Yes, definitely took my dad. Definitely took us because when we came out of the dealership, the car died. As soon as we come down this hill, and he's pushing on the gas, and it just did not go at all. So we rolled into a bar that had a telephone booth there, and my dad called him up, said, "Come on over here and get us." And the next memory I had was my dad calling back over an hour, mad, saying, "Where are you? It's been over an hour and you haven't been here." And they said, "We're sorry, sir. The tow truck drivers came in, you were not there." And then my dad was mad, and the tow truck driver, when he showed up, his eyes all bugged out, going, "What's going on here?" So he knew something was up himself, and I'm sitting here between them, just like trying to calm him down and say, "What's going on here?" But that was the second time. And my mom told me that I was missing on her for an hour or so, too, before I showed up on the stairs with her. So I never knew about that until about 7 years ago.
Wow. Okay. So you've got 3 solid missing time incidents. Now, you mentioned Sandy Mack. Sandy Mack is an amazing woman, and I would say she's a friend of mine. She's regressed me as well. She's the only one who has, and the only one I trust to. And I have never let her regress me on anything UFO. I basically told her I don't want to know anything about that. And she's good with it. What we did is we did some past life regression, which is basically current life, parallel lives regression. But it was a lot of fun. And I've done it live on stage with her at a church in San Mateo, California, for a conference I had one year, 2012. She came out and hypnotized me on stage. It was really interesting. And we did a past life at that point, too. And it was, it was extraordinary, actually. And she's one of my favorite hypnotherapists. So if you guys ever could find her name's Sandy Mack. I don't know how to tell you to find her because she's kind of private, but you could get a hold of her. If you're really desperate, you could find her. I know you could. So there's always a way, right, James?
Yeah. I had a discussion with her, and it really didn't go very, very well. But the next day, I started getting flashbacks and memories coming to me, and I talked to her. She said that is common. So I think it's going to be kind of hard for me to get hypnotized. I've always said that I could never be hypnotized because I was always so strong-minded. But I think if when you go to some of these conferences and then you're there like for 12 hours, sometimes you'd go nodding out. And I think that's the time when I can be hypnotized at that one time right there. So that's what I'm hoping for.
I agree with you on that. People laugh at me, but I tell them I don't see anybody speak anymore. And they go, why? And I go, because I fall asleep during all of the presentations. It's not that I want to be asleep, and it's not that I don't care about what they're saying. It's like I have to be asleep to take it all in. I don't know how to describe it to people. And when I'm asleep and someone asks me a year after the conference is over and I sat through that person's thing and I slept through it, they ask me about their presentation and I can almost tell them what they said. It's so weird, James. I don't know what to do about it. I don't see very many people speak anymore because my problem is if I'm at a conference, I'm usually working. So I don't get a chance to go listen to a lot of people. But the few people I do see, I sleep right through it and I remember it all. It's so crazy. I don't know. I don't know how to describe that. I feel embarrassed, actually, but what am I going to do? I can't stay awake. It's like I'm being hypnotized right out. Yeah,
well, when I first went with Sandy, she says that I was actually taken a fourth time.
What?
And, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay, and when she said this is about 2 or 3 years ago at the UFO Congress, and she said 8 years ago, or actually 7 years ago at the time, and I said, well, that coincides when I started going to these UFO conferences, and she says, yeah, you were switched on to start going to these things, is what she was telling me.
Yeah. That makes sense. Makes total sense. I mean, if I hadn't gotten sick in 2009, I wouldn't be here right now talking to everybody because this stuff didn't mean anything to me back then. I mean, I was involved with it and it was important, but it wasn't part of my life. It wasn't what I was here to do. It wasn't my mission yet. So, yeah, it's very interesting. Now, so you met Sandy back, in 2013 or 14? Is that about right?
Yeah, 2014. And that's
okay.
About 8 years, 2008, when I started going to Whitley Strieber's Unknown Country down in Tennessee. And then I went to, the last crash retrieval conference out in Las Vegas. And to tell you the truth, when Sandy told me that I had been taken 7 years ago, I immediately thought of Las Vegas when I was at the crash retrieval conference. Because when I was at the crash retrieval conference, well, I told you I've been getting followed by the cops all my life, and I could tell that someone was following me at this conference all weekend. I go out to the pool, and this guy's following me. I go out to the parking lot. Next thing you know, this guy's following me. And I'm telling these people, I says, man, I'm good at this stuff, and somebody is following me all weekend. I even walked to 7-Eleven, and I was telling someone about this guy. And next thing you know, here comes a guy walking down the street. I go, what is going on here? So anyway, the last night of the conference, I actually this is when I first started getting tired too. For some reason, I was talking to Richard Dolan, and then I went and I started going on my computer. Some guy came in, and I don't know whether he gassed me or whatever, or they put something in my food, because I went in and got something to eat, but I did go in the bathroom. My food was left alone, and I just got so tired I had to go to sleep. And here I am in Las Vegas the first time. I want to go out. And here I am going back to my bed at 10:30. And I'm out cold. Okay, about 4 o'clock, 4:30, I hear my motel door slamming shut.
Oh, God, yeah. James. Oh, my God, you never told me about this. Anyhow, go on. This is interesting.
I woke up, and next thing I know, I'm throwing up.
Oh, no.
This was when the SARS thing was going on, where people were getting sick, and I'm thinking, I'm thinking I'm sick or whatever, but I'm going, wait a minute. I clearly heard the door shut. That's what woke me up. And next thing I know, I'm throwing up. So this throwing up went on for 3 hours, and I realized that I had been drugged. And I knew I had been drugged. So when Sandy told me that I had been taken 7 years ago, I immediately thought of that incident in Las Vegas. So I'm not so sure that it might not be, because maybe how she does her work. Maybe she said, when was the last time you were taken? So maybe my labs took me on the last time. I'm not sure.
Well, I was just going to say that, that sounds like a typical, very, very typical My Labs event. And as you know, in 2013 in Henderson, a whole group of us were taken by a My Labs event. And these guys are not subtle. I mean, they'll even break the doors. That's how unsubtle these guys are. They'll break doors, they'll slam the door, they'll poison us, they'll drug us, they do all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's mind-boggling.
I figured they hit me up with the antidote, stuck me with the antidote, and then just ran out real quick and slammed the door. And that's what I heard was the door slamming.
Do you have any idea how long you were gone? Probably, it sounds like you were gone about 3 or 4 hours, right?
Yeah, it had to have been at least, I know I was asleep by 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
It was at least 4:15 when I get up.
Do you think that they had the opportunity to use scopolamine? Because if they did, and we're thinking that's what they did to all of us, what it'll actually do is you'll get up, you'll walk around, you'll look like you're a normal person, but you're in a completely drug-induced state. And you don't remember anything that happens. It kills all short-term memory. So, and you're very compliant. You'll do what they want. Like you might have gotten up, got dressed, and gone downstairs with them, and got in a van and been taken to an underground base.
Wow.
Yeah,
well, I did some investigating, and the girl that was out in the hallway there with...
When we go out to eat, we never agree on where to go.
I want burgers! Pizza!
Tacos it is.
The one thing we do agree on is we all want unlimited high-speed data. That's why we switched to Metro PCS.
Stop by Metro PCS with the whole family and get 4 lines with unlimited LTE data for just $100, period. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out.
Coverage not available in some areas. Offers require port of number not currently active on T-Mobile network. During congestion, the fraction of customers using more than 35 gigs per month may notice reduced speeds. Video streams at up to 40p. No tethering. See store for details and terms and conditions.
That was greeting the people coming into the bar or the club or the restaurant. She actually called in, and she didn't show up because she was kind of sick that day too. And that's why I thought that maybe they gassed us or something. But I'm not sure exactly what they did to me. But I do know that she didn't show up for work herself, and I kind of tied that in.
Well, maybe she was taken with you. You just don't know. I mean, see, that's the strange thing about the whole My Lab stuff. I still have to wrap my head around it. Melinda Leslie and Misha Johnson have wrapped their head around it. And it's like I've told people the story here many times on the radio show. They had an intervention with me in 2016 or 15. Man, I don't remember. It was a couple years ago. It must have been 16. No, it was 15. I remember now. It was 15. It was in Laughlin. And we were all together, and they said, well, let's go have dinner. And I'm like, okay, great. Let's go have a drink. I'm like, I don't drink. They go, well, come on, have a Coke with us. I'm like, okay. So we're sitting there, and they purposely took me to a room, James, where there were no other people. They took me into this room where we're just sitting there. We're the only people in the room. And they say to me, Lorien, you do realize that we were taken in Henderson, because I had been denying it for years. I kept saying it didn't happen. And because I didn't remember it, James, I have no memory of any of it at all, except when Melinda called me in September. This happened in May. She called me in September, and I did have a flash of memory of one little part of it. And so I did believe it did. I started at that point to believe it could have happened. It could have happened. So I'm sitting there with them, and James, they say to me, now you do realize that they told every one of us that were in those chairs that were taken on those Ryder trucks and examined that we were getting our yearly checkup. And I said, yeah, okay, what about it? And I'm still in denial that this is going on, right? And they said, yeah, Lorien, your yearly checkup, your yearly checkup. They had to say it, James, like 20 times before I finally, it sunk in. And I actually screamed. They said I screamed. I went, oh, no. And I was like, no, I'm not at My Labs. No. like sitting in there having a little, what is the Kubler-Ross denial and what is it, acceptance, denial, bargaining, whatever the 7 whatever they are, I don't remember, but I hit the first one of denial, and I'm sitting in there screaming, no, not me, I'm not my labs, no way, and they're like, yeah, sorry, you were taken, that means that they've known about you for some time. I'm like, oh no. But I don't have any memories of anything bad. Do you have any memories of anything bad happening to you, or are they very good at wiping your brains out too, like they do mine?
Nothing at all. I've got no memories whatsoever what they did to me. I'd love to know, but there are times that when I read about stuff or see some stuff that I react to it. That's where I reacted when I was in Roswell. I reacted to something that the alien hunter showed me. And that's when I actually figured out that I was, in fact, taken on the way home. And then my mom said, well, she said that I disappeared on her, too, when she almost called the cops. That's how I found out about that.
Wow. Okay, so now you're talking about Daryl Sims, and you were with him in Roswell, New Mexico this last year at the conference, right?
No, I didn't go. This was back in 2010 when I figured it all out. Because I never went around my life saying, I've been taken by aliens. I did tell the story a couple times because it had the little midget when I went up and slapped a cigar out of his mouth, because that happened the next day.
Yeah, you need to tell that story because that's a great story, by the way.
When me and my dad,
why don't you go ahead and talk about that a little bit, and then we're going to talk about how you figured this all out.
Well, yeah, when me and my dad were taken, the next day we're at the kitchen table eating dinner, and I asked, why are the little people telling the big people what to do? And I looked at my dad. In the back of my mind, I knew that I saw my dad get told what to do by these little people. And I got laughed at by my brothers and sisters. And they tell me, well, little people shouldn't do big people things until they get big. Then I actually saw a midget at the Brockton State Fair that weekend at the racetrack. He was smoking a cigar, and he's looking through the racing charts. And I just went running right over to him, and I just slapped the cigar right out of his mouth. And I said, little people should do big people things until they get big. And he's like, get this damn kid away from me.
Oh, my God. That's right. I forgot that you were at a racetrack. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. That is so funny. And what did your father, apologize profusely? And I mean, God.
He just turned his head away when I started saying it. And that made it look even more in my mind that I knew that I saw him get told what to do.
Right.
Just, how it's just, things.
Oh, yeah. I mean, see, that's the problem. I would say that so many more people on this planet have been taken that don't even know or have a clue or even wonder about it. Maybe we're all taken, James. What do you think?
Well, actually, the alien hunter told me back in 2010, he told me that he thinks that it's as high as 91%. And I said, what?
Oh, my God. Really? Yeah, Daryl does believe that. I know he does. I'm not sure. I don't know. I think it's 50-50, to be honest with you, because if they're taking everybody all the time, they'd be so busy. I mean, I don't know if there'd be any time. Well, now I take that back. I've learned so much since I've figured this all out that time doesn't mean anything to them like it does us. So they could conceivably take everybody on the planet and pop them back into wherever they were at their time, and it wouldn't matter because nobody would know.
Yeah, I don't believe that myself because most of us are all psychic.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
And I don't know if I told you that before, but all of the abductees that I know, they're all young looking, and I believe that's because of time dilution somehow.
Well, isn't that interesting? Because, I have people come up to me all the time and they say, there's no way you're 60 years old. You're lying. I mean, I literally have people tell me that. And I'm not lying. I am 60 years old. I just look young. And my grandmother, oh, my God, she was 70-some years old and she looked like she was 50. She was really young looking. I mean, oh, my God. And my dad, another one, up until he got in his 80s, he looked like, he was a baby, I swear. It's very interesting.
Cindy Williams. They both look very much younger than their age.
I'm sorry, Cindy who?
Cynthia, Cindy, the one that does the sculptures.
Oh, Cynthia. Yeah, she passed on. I know. It's so sad.
Oh, wow. I know
she passed on in September, early October.
I got talked to her back at the Congress. She said
hey, James, we can't hear you at all now. Where are you? Hello.
I don't know. I guess when I stand up, I seem to lose it. I just got so excited when you said that about Cindy.
Oh my God! It's so sad, and I didn't know about her memorial service. I should have been there for her. But she was an amazing woman. She was a total hybrid, don't you think so?
Oh yeah,
Cynthia?
Absolutely. Yeah, her eyes shifted when she was so emotional. When I bought a sculpture off of her, her eyes just got blood red, and I said, "Oh, let me get a picture of this." And by the time I got the picture, her eyes turned back to white.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it amazing? And you know what was cool is at my conference in Sacramento. Were you at the Sacramento conference in 2015?
Yes, I was.
That's right. That was the night that Barbara Lamb at the party upstairs saw her eyes change. And then Barbara was a true believer at that point, from that point on. So, yeah. And they'd been friends for a long time.
Yeah, she had sent Barbara a video of her eyes shapeshifting.
Yes, and then Barbara got to see it firsthand in that November. Yeah, it was very fun. I mean, that was an interesting conference.
Right. Yeah. When I came home after getting that statue, and she said that I think she said something like 80% of the people have a reaction or some kind of incident. When I took mine home, the third eye I put it out in the sun. I got the little alien sitting down, and the third eye was glowing. And I showed it to my mom. I showed it to my son. I said, "Look at this." And now ever since then, it doesn't glow. You can see white in it and all this. And that night, it was glowing red. And then, like I said,
wow.
I'd gone to your conference. And then when I got up that next morning, it felt like I had slept forever. But I knew it was only a few hours. And I looked in the mirror, and I had a scab on top of my head. I said, "Where'd that scab come from?" It was like 3 or 4 days old. I'm like, "Well, I didn't get cut before the conference or at the conference and have my hat on. I didn't get cut." But yet I had a 3-day-old scab. And I'm like, what's going on? Did I have some kind of thing going on with this sculpture? But it's just weird. I can't say for sure. But I know that it felt like I had slept forever that day.
Well, that's very intriguing. I hate to say this because I'm starting to feel like my conferences are antennas for everybody to get taken or have experiences. And I don't know if that's a good thing, James, but it seems to be that at most of my events, people are having extraordinary experiences. A lot of people are. And your story is just one of many I've heard. I've had people tell me they'll go to sleep and they wake up on a ship and they're having contact with ET, and then they wake up in bed and they're all refreshed and ready for the next day. And it's like the ETs are tuning them up and getting ready for the next day's, speakers, right? And I hear this all the time, and I'm beginning to wonder if all the people coming to the conference isn't just like a huge beacon out there to them saying, "Oh, we're all in San Jose, California. We're all in Sacramento this weekend," or we're all here this weekend, and then they just show up and tune up everybody because we're all in one spot. It is kind of cool. I have heard rumor, and I don't know about you, but I heard at Contact in the Desert that there were some other dimensional beings that showed up and worked on everybody in the crowd a lot. Did you hear that when you were at Contact this last year?
I did not hear it, but I did hear about the alien on the stage a couple years ago during Michael Tellinger, I believe, next to Michael Tellinger on the stage when they had that panel on that Saturday morning 3 years ago.
Yeah, I heard rumor that there was something there as well. Now I saw the pictures later. Yeah, I saw the photo, but I couldn't make it out. Now, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm too much of a skeptic, because I try to be as skeptical as possible so I don't get, buffaloed. and don't say the wrong thing on air, and promote something that may not be real. I really try not to do that, but I couldn't see it. But I had a friend of mine say when he looked at it, he could see it very plainly. So maybe it was only for certain people to see. That's another thing they do, right?
Well, I remember what I was looking for Michael Tellinger, and I remember that I kept my attention to that left-hand corner when I was looking for him at the time that he was there. So something just drew me to it. And then I actually found Michael Tellinger. I was taking him over to the Integratron. That's why I was looking for Michael Tellinger. That's why it stuck in my head.
Okay. So you had to meet up with him after that
morning
panel.
he overslept. I invited him to the Integratron with me to get a sound bath, and he overslept, and I was looking for him.
Okay. Interesting. Now, were you there for that panel? Did you see the alien in the picture? Did you see it on stage?
I saw it. I think Linda Moulton Howe put it out on Earth Files, and that's how I saw it. And then one of my friends emailed it to me too. And I said, oh, well, that's why I was looking at that corner more than anything else. I think James Gilliland was the closest to it. I'm not sure.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely correct. I think it was Gilliland. And I also think there were a few people in the audience that could see it. Because I had a friend he sees aliens all the time, and he swore there was an alien on that stage. Actually, he swore there were more than one. So, I mean, I what do I know? I mean, that's what he sees, and it could be true. Now, my other friend...
I was just trying to see something in there. I said, "What is it? Is that him?" And I'm just trying to focus in, and I couldn't basically see. It was like a blur to me, is what more or less.
Yeah. And see, that's why I could never really say it was an alien or not, because all I could see was this kind of blurry colored thing, and I couldn't tell if it was an alien or not. Now, this last year, my other friends, two very good psychic women, came running up to me at Contact, and they said, Lorien, you're not going to believe it. And I said, believe what? Because I'm always like, yeah, what, you guys? And they said, there are aliens down there tuning up people in the amphitheater, and they're all over. There's like 30 or 40 of them, and they're walking in between the rows, and they're stopping at different people, and they're doing things to them. And I said, no way. They said, yeah, we can both see it. And I said, no way. I said, I don't believe you. I'm not going to believe you. But if it's real, can you find me somebody else who sees it too, right? And they said, yeah, we'll find somebody else. So the next day, they brought these two women to me that said, oh, yeah, we were sitting in the audience, and these aliens were absolutely shocked that when they leaned down to do stuff to us, we looked right at them and said hello. And I said, so you saw them too? And they said, oh, yeah, we saw them. We didn't see them like a hard 3D person. We saw them as like an energetic light with a shape to it. And I said, oh, my God. They said, yep, they were there, and we were saying hi to them. And I'm like, okay. So I had 4 women tell me they saw a whole group of kind of reptilian-looking things running around the amphitheater, doing little tune-ups, and a couple of them apparently had little wand thingies that they were running over people's heads. So I don't know what they were doing, and if anybody else was at Contact and actually saw this happen, in your third eye or your mind's eye or anything, God, will you guys please email me, because I forgot to talk about that after Contact this year. I completely forgot about it until tonight, of all things. Anyhow, so so I mean, some really crazy things happen when contactees all get together in one spot. I think that they know that we're all together, and they just take advantage of it the best they can. Hey, James, were you at Giant Rock with us? I don't think you were there. Were you on Sunday night?
No, I wasn't there, but I'd like to say that Joshua Tree area itself, that Joshua Tree Spiritual Center, is a draw for aliens. You know about the family of light that appeared in, I think, 2006 or so? Do you know about that?
No. Tell me about it. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, well, I've actually got the photo of it. Some guru or Indian shaman, somebody had done a highly charged loving talk, okay? And so You know how they take the chairs and they fold the chairs up and they put them up against the wall? Well, the people were putting the chairs back against the wall, and somebody felt a presence, and they took a photograph. When they looked at the photograph, you could actually see a family of light beings by the bathroom door, bathed in light and actually floating in light. And you can see where it come through the flower. That there was a plant on the left side and a plant on the right side. The plant,
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
That absorbed the energy. That plant wilted and died. There's a couple other abnormalities in the photograph, but I'll send you the photograph. You can clearly see that it looks like a male and a female holding a baby and another child standing there right next to them is what we think. But it could be just three of them. But this is what it looks like: a man and woman, a baby, and a teenager.
Wow. Now that's intriguing too, because how often do you see other dimensional beings that are a family of different ages? That doesn't happen often. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. I wonder, my first thought when you said that was, this sounds to me like a family of people that have passed over together and that they were attached to that place. That's what it sounds like to me. But hey, I could be wrong. It could be other dimensional beings, but I swear to you, I've never heard of any baby, other dimensional beings or toddlers or even teenagers. Most of them are like ascended masters of men and women, full-grown men and women. So that's very intriguing to me. I'm going to have to really check that out. I want to see that picture. Can you get it to me?
When you go to break, I'll send it to you.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, my God. I can't wait to see this. This is going to be very cool. So, James, do you consider yourself psychic?
Oh, yes. Oh, I've always had precog dreams. Always.
Oh, wow. So we're going to have to take a break here in a few minutes, but do you want to start telling us about one of your precog dreams that came true?
Well, when I started going up and down the coast, I would pull over to the side of the road because I felt tired.
Okay, now, wait a minute. Which coast are we talking about? Because I'm over here on the West Coast.
I'm on the East Coast, going down. We call it Route 93 up on the East Coast. So I think I hit by Newark, Delaware, and I just had to stop. So I go over by DuPont Paint, and next thing I know, I'm sleeping. And I'm having this dream, and I'm dreaming about a little kid going all around the country with me and something about faucets. And I'm a plumber now, and back when I was young, anything that had to do with plumbing, I called it a faucet. So I get this dream, and next thing I know, I'm waking up. And then I'm trying to get back to sleep, and I'm like, well, how come I slept and now I can't get back to sleep? So I'm noticing that something's wrong. If I'm that tired that I got to go over and pull over and stop, and I go to sleep, and next thing you know, I'm wide awake and I can't get back to sleep. So I actually think I drove all the way back to Florida, down to Florida without stopping, straight 24 hours that time too, as a matter of fact. But I realized I was getting these visions, but I didn't know until I went to Jaws down in at a drive-in theater with this girl. She was actually a palm reader. So we pulled in. I was in my Mustang. We pulled in, and I rolled my window down.
Now, James, we're kind of dating ourselves here. This sounds like a good time had by all at a drive-in theater watching Jaws. I'm telling you. So I'll tell you what. Instead of continuing on with the story, let's leave it right there, and we're going to take a break here in just a second. But I just want to tell everyone, James doesn't have a website, but he does frequent the conferences, and he is a friend of mine, and he always comes up and says hi, and he always shows up at my conferences when he can. And so if you ever want to meet James, what you can do is, if you're at one of my events, you'll get to meet James and hang out with him, and I'm telling you, he's quite the character. So we'll be back with James here right after these breaks, and everybody stick around because we got another hour to go. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to the California MUFON Radio Show. I'm your host, Lorien Fenton. And as you guys all know, we're coming up on the holiday season. And what a really cool gift it would be if you would buy yourself or anybody you love the IRN Insiders Club. I keep going, it's the Club of Insiders, but no, it's the Insiders Club. I want you guys to buy that for yourself, buy it for your friends, support IRN, really help them out here, and you guys will get special events that nobody else gets. I mean, if you're an insider, you get the good stuff, right? So please, if you can, help us out here at IRN. It never hurts to, keep us going, as they say. And they have the most amazing app, so you guys don't forget that. And I've been having trouble with mine lately, MJ. We're gonna have to talk about it. It's decided it doesn't want to work anymore, and I wonder what's going on. Maybe I'm not updating. I don't know. But it's a great app, in spite of the fact that I can't figure out how to use it anymore. I want you guys to get it. I also want you to become a member of the Insiders Club if you would, please. You don't have to. You can always be a member here at IRN for free and get all of our archives for free. But $5 a month would help us out. We'd really, really appreciate it if you guys would do that. So that's number one thing I've got to say tonight. The second thing I've got to do is I've got to thank Mike Vara and Ira over at Late Night in the Midlands for all the years now. It's going on 2 years, I think, that they've been repeating this show over at their network, and it's just been I really appreciate it. The guys here at Inception Radio Network, I know they do too, and we're just very thankful that they love this show as much as I love doing it, and I want to thank them for doing it. And I also want to thank the guys here at IRN. Without them, you guys, I don't know what I would have done. I mean, they have promoted me, helped me, kept me on the air in spite of me falling asleep, not showing up, calling from the car, being on a plane. I mean, I have done just about every faux pas a talk show host could do, and they still let me back in. Every week they kind of go, oh, well, she did something really bizarre last week, but that's okay. She's back here at IRN. So, they've never told me what to say either. And that is to me, that is the most golden thing that can happen in radio nowadays, you guys. They do not tell me what to say. They never laugh at me. They never judge my guests. They never judge me. And they are really, really awesome guys. So that's Bob and MJ and Joe. And they are super, super awesome. And talk about respect for their host. They have amazing respect for their host. And I think that is a two-way street. Every host here at IRN loves these guys, and they are just truly amazing. So I just want you guys to know that I'm so blessed to be here, and I love IRN. And I just want you guys to know that it means the world to me. And I just wish them all a happy, happy holidays. So, and then the last thing I need to say tonight is that, you guys know that I had my big MUFON holiday party in December, and it was a blast. I don't think I've been able to tell you guys about it, but it was just a blast. I mean, we had so much fun. And we had an amazing speaker, and she's going to be speaking at UFOCon this year. She's a contactee, and she has an extraordinary story about how, she's got alien children. And, it's like the female Stan Romanek, I got to say. So wild stuff has happened to her. And she's going to be speaking at UFOCon. But, the most important thing to me was the fact that I got to sit there and look out over a room of 40 some odd people. And I got to see that they were all ages, and they came from all different aspects of what ufology is about. And they were all eating dinner together and having a great time. And they were talking about things of importance and non-importance. And I even got to, say my piece and be loud and boisterous and kind of admonish a few people for their speaking out against a few ufologists in the community. And I also changed their mind about those ufologists. So that's the other thing. I got to say what I wanted to say. They got to say what they wanted to say. Where else can you go? And that type of thing happens. So I want you all, I say this every show, almost every show, and I say it all the time. You guys have got to get to a MUFON meeting. Whether it's not, like I said, it's not all about MUFON. It's about all of you guys getting together at a MUFON meeting. So understand what I'm trying to tell you. It's important that you all find each other now more than ever. With all the disclosure stuff that's going on, with all the confusion that's going on, with all the puppet masters in the background controlling the narrative, it is more important now than ever, ever, ever before that you guys all find each other. Because, like I said, there's a line in the sand being drawn between the contactees and the military industrial complex that's going to let you know what they want you to know. So just remember that. And I need all the contactees to get together and start becoming part of other groups and other things that are going on. And you'll find these people at the MUFON meetings. There's a couple of CE5 groups going on right now, thousands strong, where they're actually making contact. There is another group that's got about 5,000 people in it that a bunch of my MUFON members are part of, where they're actually once a month getting together and consciously communicating with alien entities via everybody on a moment of meditation. But they're all doing it as a group all over the world. There's 5,000 people that get on this meditation at once to contact ET. So you guys, there's a lot of things going on there, but they are not going to be the things that you see that are like advertised on the internet. You're not going to find these groups. The only way you're going to find these groups is if you get to a MUFON meeting. Because I can guarantee you this: everybody that runs one of those meetings, everybody that's a contactee in their area goes to all the MUFON meetings, and we meet up with each other there. That's what we use MUFON for. MUFON is there to help you find each other, and what you do from that point on is your business. Okay? So just remember I said that. I'm not saying anything bad about MUFON, okay? Just remember that. Don't call Jan Harrison tomorrow and say Lorien was bad-mouthing MUFON. I am not bad-mouthing MUFON. If it wasn't for MUFON, I wouldn't be here talking to you guys right now. So MUFON in itself as an organization that's lasted since 1969, it's a good thing. It's not as bad as everybody wants to make it out to be, and they really do keep people together. I mean, in Northern California, we're really strong in MUFON, but we're strong in everything else too. And MUFON is like the backbone that made all the rest of it happen. So just remember that, okay, you guys? I hope you're hearing me between the lines on everything here. It's super important you get to a meeting, okay? So give yourself the gift of calling your MUFON representative in your state. Go to MUFON.com. That's MUFON.com. Go there, find your state, click on it, find out who your state director is, call them up and say, when's your next meeting? And then seriously think about it. If there is no meetings in your state, if there is no meetings in your town, create one. I did. You can do it too. It's not hard. Okay. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to lecture you guys anymore because it is the holidays. All right, James, are you still with me?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, now, so you drove down to Florida. You're in your Mustang. You're at the drive-in theater with some cute gal, and you're in your Mustang. You're watching Jaws. Is it a convertible?
No, it wasn't a convertible.
Oh, that's probably good.
When we go out to eat, we never agree on where to go.
I want burgers. Pizza.
Tacos it is.
The one thing we do agree on is we all want unlimited high-speed data. That's why we switched to Metro PCS.
Stop by Metro PCS with the whole family and get 4 lines with unlimited LTE data for just $100, period. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out.
Coverage not available in some areas. Offers require port and of number not currently active on T-Mobile network. During congestion, the fraction of customers using more than 35 gigs per month may notice reduced speeds. Video streams at up to 40p. No tethering. See store for details and terms and conditions.
That way everybody couldn't see in the car so easily, right?
Right.
Okay, so what happened?
Well, I'll tell you, I must have gone to sleep for just a couple minutes, and I had that same old dream of some little kid and faucets again. And but this time, when I woke up to the dun 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 dun, and actually, when I watched Jaws this year, I don't hear that dun 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 dun. I think the Mandela effect has affected Jaws.
Really?
Music. Yeah, watch Jaws and look at that. The beginning where the shark is stalking her, and because the music used to be dun, 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 dun. Now it's like Well, anyway, that's what I woke up to, that and her swimming around and the shark stalking her, and I woke up and I immediately apologized for falling asleep. And the girl, she had been in the back seat. I was with a couple people, and she was in the back seat. She jumped in the front seat into my lap, and she grabbed me with 2 hands, and she's like, "You weren't sleeping. You were in a trance." And she just started shaking me back and forth, going, "What'd you see? What'd you see? What'd you see?" And I'm like, well, "What's going on?"
I'm sorry I'm laughing, but I can just picture this. This is so wild. So what did you see? Why was she asking you like that so adamantly?
Well, she was a palm reader, and she knew immediately that I was in a trance.
Oh, so she was a psychic. No wonder you were drawn to her. Did you ever date her any length of time?
I did. Not, that week. Sure.
Oh, just that week.
Yeah, well, she actually moved in with me. It was about a month. And,
she moved in with you. Okay, things are getting heated up here. I like this story.
But I'm not sure if it was then, because I saw her twice when I went to Florida. When I was working at a gas station, my friend that was working with me, he gets a call. He says, "Man, you wouldn't believe this chick, Julie. She's calling me up. She wants to see me tonight." I'm like, "What's her name?" And she said, "Julie." And I said, "Oh, give me that phone. That's me. That's my friend." So that's how she found out where I was the second time. So then she ended up, we stayed at this place for about a month. Actually, there's a frog that lived in our toilet.
What? Are you serious? Yeah. You guys had a frog in the toilet? Oh my God. Was he in the tank or he wasn't in the flush part though?
He was in the flush part. He'd pop up every once in a while. Strangest thing, things fly. And all that, we had a next door neighbor that had a monkey.
Oh, that is weird. Oh, you guys, I'm telling you, you can't make this stuff up. It's too much.
I'm waking up and she says, "There's a monkey in the tree." And I'm going, "What?" And I look out. Sure enough, there was a monkey in the tree. The guy would let his monkey go up in the tree every morning, and there it was.
Oh my God. And it was staring down at you guys in bed, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Sure. Oh God. Okay, so now Julie the psychic is now shaking you, saying you're having a vision. What are you visioning? What are you seeing? Did you tell her?
Yeah, I told her that I saw the same thing I saw before, with some little kid that's going all around the country with me, and something about faucets. And where it turned out, that exact spot, back in 1991, I did an apartment project there. That's what I used to do, is go all around the country and put in the water pipe on apartment projects. Well, this one here was actually in the ditch, putting in the plastic pipe at the time. Mm-hmm. So that's probably why I called it faucets, because it was a pipe back then.
Okay.
But so it was 1991. So it was 75. I believe it was 73. No, 75 that second time. So it was, 16 years later, I had the vision come true at the exact spot, because the drive-in theater had sold out, and they put a old folks apartment project there, big old...
oh, you're kidding me. So you were actually having a precognition of what you were going to do in the future is what you were having.
At that exact spot. Well, that's mainly the way my precog visions work is about me and where I'm going to be in my future.
Now, I find this very intriguing, because I used to have that kind of stuff happen to me all the time. And I don't have it happening as much now. Do you find that since you're older, it's not happening as much, or is it still continuing?
Absolutely. My third eye has been closed, and it's hard for me to remember my dreams. And I've been asking everybody, talking to all the people on the radio, asking them, what should I do? What should I do? And I finally found the solution. I'm using skate liver oil again. I stopped using skate liver oil, and then my dreams get stopped. And now, since I started the skate liver oil, the pills, and I'm starting to be able to dream again. Plus, I use the charcoal, too, to flush out the chemtrails. Well, actually, over what's going on right now, every year it seems like the chemtrails are different. Like last year, people were getting the colds and stuff. Well, this year, people are getting a lot of zits on their head, myself included, and there's nothing you can do.
Okay, now wait a minute. This is really odd that you said that. You're not going to believe this. I was over at my doctor's a while back, and people were sitting there, and I was complaining. It was my dermatologist, and I said, "Why are you guys here?" I was just looking at this couple, and they said, "Look, our face is breaking out all around the edge of our hairline." And I said, "Oh, that's weird." They go, "Yeah, we've never had anything like this happen to us before. We're worried it's some kind of dermatitis or a bug or, something." And I said, "Oh, that's really odd." And then within 2 weeks, I started breaking out around my hairline, And I went to the doctor and he goes, oh, yeah, there's been a rash of some kind of weird breakout thing where people are having acne breakout. I go, oh, come on, really? I said, are you calling it acne? And he goes, yeah, because that's what it is. It's basically just like your body's getting rid of poisons. And it seems to be coming out on everybody's hairline. I'm like, okay, this is too weird. Now, I hadn't even thought about it, James, since then until just now when you said that. Now, is it happening on your head or on your hairline? That's what I want to know.
Actually, on the back of my head. And like I said,
that's weird.
I sleep with my window open, and it's like right here. So I've done everything. I've washed my hair 2-3 times a day, changed the pillowcase every day, and nothing seems. And they're very painful. There's just 1 or 2 of them, and they're very, very painful. And I know it's got to do with the chemtrails. And actually,
wait a minute. Do you think it might be an implant that's coming up? Because I'll tell you something. When I had my implant come out, it hurt like a son of a bee, and it felt like a cyst that was trying to come out.
No, these are kind of occurring, like 1 on the left side, then it'll go away, or 1 or 2 on the right side. The one I got now is like right in the back of my head, right, definitely on the back of my head, and it kind of hurts. And I mentioned, you mentioned L&M Radio earlier with Michael Vera.
We love Michael.
I was actually in the chat room earlier with them, and I mentioned that about my head getting the zits, and someone in the chat room came back to me and said, yes, that's in fact going on. He knows about people here around here too that are going to the dermatologist, and the dermatologist has no answers for them.
Right. This guy, my dermatologist said, yeah, people are getting cysts or they're getting acne around their hairline. I go, well, what is that? What's it from? He goes, oh, I don't know. It's just a breakout. I'm like, okay, right. These guys don't have a clue what's going on, do they, James? I mean, it just blows my mind. They shouldn't even have a degree in medicine, Seriously. I mean, I bet we could figure it out faster than they can,
Right. Now, you know what I feel it is?
Oh, go ahead.
What I feel it is you know how every time they make chemtrails, you're not going to get the same batch all the time. Some's going to have a little more something, and then the other batch does. So I feel that whatever batch got made, maybe some kind of germ got into it, and it's a little more germy than the natural batch, and then they'll just spray it until they run out of it, and this is the result of it. That's
okay.
Okay,
right. That makes sense. I mean, I'm not going to argue with that. I can't prove it wrong. And I certainly have noticed that other people have been having some issue with their heads breaking out. So, and me included. So something is definitely happening. I'm still trying to figure out wrap my head around it all. But now, do you think the chemtrails have slowed down at all? I know they've slowed down quite a bit over here in California. How's it going on the East Coast?
Not at all. They're just spraying the hell out of us. They spray. They spray in the east in the morning when the sun's rising. They spray overhead in noontime, and then they spray in the west in the evening just to block out our view of the sun.
Well, this is so crazy because, here in Northern California and Southern California, all of us have been watching, and it's really slowed down. The chemtrails have really slowed down since June of this last year. It's been very interesting. And but what we have had that you guys haven't had is we've had these firestorms that I'm beginning to wonder aren't man-made. Now, I was the first one to say, I don't know what's happening with them. I don't believe that, they were started by anybody and what have you. But after looking at all the evidence and talking to friends of mine that are really into Agenda 21 out here in the Bay Area, I really am beginning to wonder if they weren't started. Have you been following them at all?
If you don't recall, I'm not sure if you talked to her or saw her talk, but Deborah Tavares was at Brian Hall's Con.
Yeah.
And she was talking about that stuff back then, that they were planning to do that. So
yeah. And Deborah's, she spoke for me several times, and she's a friend. I got to definitely say she is a good friend. And, when this happened, I just was like, oh my God, Deborah was right all along. But, we can't, the problem we've got is everybody's screaming that Pacific Gas and Electric started these fires with the faulty transformers and blah, blah, blah. But what blew my mind, now I could almost say that might be the case, except for what blew my mind was that in a month, now Southern California is on fire. You know, and they're trying to blame the gas company down there or the electric company down there. And hey, why is it that for 50 years all these homes have been built and nothing's going wrong? We have no fires in those areas at all, and then suddenly we have them within a month of each other.
Yeah, surrounded by trees that haven't been burnt.
Exactly.
Okay,
It's so crazy.
Well, you've heard that people are saying that only the homes that have the smart meters get burnt. The ones that refuse the smart meters supposedly didn't get burnt out. I don't know how true it is, but that's what I've heard. That they can zero in on the smart meters and somehow send a signal or whatever, and boom, directed energy can go right to that smart meter, and boom, the house is gone.
Oh my God.
And if you see some of the directed energy weapons tests, they fire a beam at a car, and the surrounding area is like a ring of fire around that beam, and that's what the cars are looking like. You see the car; it got this like ring around it, you know.
Well, they look like the cars at 9/11. You know, that they're totally like melted from the inside out, practically. It's so bizarre. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. But now I have a friend who's a firefighter, and he says, Lorien, what you don't understand is when a wind is whipping up and you've got an intense fire moving quickly, like 50 miles an hour, just moving, and what it creates is like an oven effect around this whole area. It'll be like a hurricane. It's your wind is swirling in a 5-block area around this, and it keeps it all contained in this small area, and the temperatures get up so high that everything melts. And I said, but that doesn't seem like a wildfire to me. He goes, the problem we've got is we have never burned, homes like that, close together like that, in that kind of situation, don't burn like that often. You don't get fires like that. These are kind of new fires for firefighters because they get high-rise fires, or they get 3 or 4 houses in the city burning, and they put water on them, and they can put them basically out, right? You're never going to see, this doesn't happen this often, ever. I mean, this is one of the first times it's happened like this, where it's spread and it's just contained a whole neighborhood and all the way up to a freeway, and then jumped a freeway and then taken out another whole neighborhood. I mean, this doesn't happen, and it hasn't happened much before. I mean, most of these firefighters had read about what could happen, but they'd never seen it. They didn't even know what to do.
Wait, where do you see
start?
Did you see that interview with the Santa Rosa fire chief that said
I did.
There you go. Right?
I know. It's scary. You should tell everybody what he said, because I can't remember it all word for word. But
he just says that they're very suspicious, and he'd like to know what's going on. He wants to get an investigation started, and I don't think he can. You know?
I know, and I'm wondering how long he's going to be alive, to be honest with you.
Right.
I mean, when you come out and say stuff like that, suddenly you have a car accident. I mean. It just blows my mind what happens to people that do that, Well, and that was not a good move.
When you see that they put out these so-called official propaganda press releases of the fire and stuff. Well, the fire that they showed last week, right had, of course, the Masonic 7337 or something like that. They showed a Lazy Boy truck going by, and I can't remember exactly, but it just showed the picture on the Lazy Boy truck. They have the chairs painted on the side and they look real definite and real high definition in the video, but you could see the fire on the hill in the background, and then there's a message on the front that said, I don't know exactly what the message read, but it says, look at this, something about it. But I'm saying that might be a message to the people in Hollywood, because most of them seem to be the ones that are getting their houses burnt out. It may be a message. It felt to me that it was a message to them to shut up about this pedophilia stuff. And that's what these fires may be about, is them, a warning to them. Because see how they're all instead of going to the press, they're all running for their lives, right? I don't know how many actors got their houses burnt out last week, but probably quite a few. But
I think you're right about that. There's so much going on behind the scenes. Back when Hastings, you remember Hastings, the guy who was in the BMW that worked for Rolling Stone magazine, and his BMW was taken over and going 120 miles an hour down Sepulveda Boulevard or something in LA and crashed into a palm tree. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Was it a Mercedes? I think it was a BMW. Anyhow, point being, that engine was blown 50 feet in front of the car. That when a car hits a palm tree, the engine doesn't go 50 feet in front of the car. The engine heads to the back of the car. I know because I hit a tree going 50 miles an hour, and I put the engine inside of the car and me out the back window. So I know what happened. I know what happens when you hit a tree. The engine does not go flying forward 50 feet and land across the street in intact condition unless it's blown out of there. I mean, seriously, there was an explosion that caused that whole thing to happen. So,
and also they claim that the Boston brake, they call it the Boston brake because it was invented around here in Waltham. What it does, they take over your car by the computer. And I actually had an incident that my niece was actually doing stuff with these cops, these vice squad, and I found out she was involved with these vice squad. I bought her car from her, and next thing I know, these vice squads are pulling me over her in her car and telling me about her, and they know her and stuff. Well, anyway, I don't want to. I'd have to get into a lot of stuff, about my history and stuff. Well, anyway. I put the car in my backyard, and all of us caught a bunch of cops, like 7 cops in my backyard trying to access that car because we felt that they had this was back in 2003. I believe they had one of them Boston brakes, and they're actually testing it out in my car because they wanted to get into my car. We caught them 4 o'clock in the morning my dog barked, and everybody in the house was actually awake. We all heard. I look out in the backyard, and there's all these cops and stuff. As soon as I went out there, what's going on? They said, "Oh, we had a burglar in the and they all took off. They all got in their cars and took off."
Well, did you ever feel around the car for one of those tracking devices to see if it was on the car?
No. Well. It actually, when I was driving it, sometimes it would jump down to another gear, and it's like, whoa, how did that happen? And my son told me that some things happened with him, but actually there were a lot of things were happening with that car, right? And I remember his girlfriend at the time; they had a kid, and she would accuse my son of, just trying to please your dad by agreeing with him, right? And then she used the car one day. And she come back, and she was just convinced that we were 100% correct. He says, you guys are right. Something is wrong with that car.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, the reason I brought up Hastings in the first place was to say that, when Hollywood decides they're going to do something to you, or the CIA in Hollywood, let's put it that way, they can do anything they want to you. Burning down your house is easy. So if they want to keep people hushed up about the whole pedophilia thing that's going on in Hollywood, well, that's an easy way to do it. Let's just catch the whole Hollywood Hills on fire, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a great way to say keep your mouth shut, And if they can target a certain neighborhood where they know certain people are at, they can get rid of the problem people, too, at the same time. So
very easily, yep.
Yep. It's crazy. I mean, once you're homeless, there's a lot of things that happen, and especially if you get a message from somebody saying you're homeless for keeping your, opening your mouth, I don't know. I just, it's so entrenched out there, James, the insidiousness of the whole targeted individual thing. And they play it on a big scale. I mean, they may have really only wanted to take out 5 homes in that hillside, but they took out 1,000 just to do it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
These guys are ruthless.
Where's everybody staying? I mean, it seems like everybody's homeless now.
It's been so weird up here. I live in Petaluma, and the fires were right above me in Santa Rosa and right to my east in Sonoma. And we were on pre-evacuation alert. I had the cat carriers by the front door, my art and my jewelry in the car. And that's about all I could fit in the car. And some clothes in a suitcase. And that's it. I figured I could always buy new clothes and I can always buy new furniture. And I just grabbed a few things that were in the house that are of super importance, and that was it. But, it was scary. And since that fire happened, people, I don't know where they're staying. I know that the very wealthy people up in Fountain Grove, which is the on the hillside up by the Hilton Hotel here, that burned down. And these people were in what we call McMansions, these 4,000, 5,000 square foot homes. Mm-hmm. And most of those people are fine because what happened was the insurance companies all are paying their rent at these other McMansions throughout the counties, these Airbnb homes and stuff. They just said, well, we're going to rebuild. It'll take a year. We'll just rent a house for you for a year, and that's what's going on. So they're trying to rebuild fast. But those are the wealthy people. The people in Coffee Park in the middle class area, I don't know where any of those people went. I know that 2 of my friends' homes burned down, and they're all staying with family, in the East Bay or Marin County or Sonoma County over on the coast or, wherever they can stay. But they're all staying with family now, waiting to figure out if they're going to rebuild. And, here's the other weird thing that's going on with that. The Army Corps of Engineers came in, and the Department of, was it Energy or somebody who takes care of disasters? I want to say Department of Energy, but it's not them. But they were going around and tagging all the homes and saying nobody could really go in there and do anything until they'd gone through and made sure that the foundations were okay. That the foundations were all probably compromised and they couldn't rebuild on the same foundation again. Now, what takes out a concrete foundation like that?
Well, with the heat, if there was intense heat, they could melt the pipes, the PVC pipes that are in the ground, and could also melt the lines. So, and put cracks in the foundation too if it gets really hot. Oh, it can put cracks in the foundation. Okay. So they would check for cracks, and they'd probably want to water test the plumbing pipes, the plastic pipes that go in the ground. There were no pipes left, dear. There were the pipes were melted. The people were digging around to look for them. I watched a TV thing where they said these guys are digging around to check the foundations and the pipes. The pipes were gone. The only ones left were a few of the metal ones, the copper pipes, and even some of those melted. So I don't know. I mean, that's how intense the fire was. It was just melting everything. So. But what is this? Was it the APA? Who does environmental disaster cleanup? I can't think of who that organization is. FEMA? Well, FEMA's, they've been involved, but they're not the ones who went around with their full body suits with the mask on, going through the people's rubble and stuff. That scared me because then it's saying to me, what in the heck melted all this stuff that they've got to be wearing those kind of hazmat suits, Well, the plastics, the PVC itself, that if you breathe it, you'll die. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Yeah, it's highly toxic. So maybe this whole fire was just a fire. Maybe someone nefarious started it. But these guys, if they're cleaning up and the EPA's involved and everybody's doing their thing, then maybe it's just what it is, a cleanup. What do you think? Well, I've seen them green lasers fired from the planes. You saw that, right? The helicopter. Yeah, I did see that. Now I'm still trying to wrap my head around that one. Yeah, you can see he was startled when the laser shot off. It startled him, and he moved the camera real quick. So he wasn't ready for it. People say, well, he moved the camera away not to show up. No, he got startled by the laser, as you can see. So. Yeah, now explain to the audience what that was, because I can't remember the full story, but there was a helicopter in the sky doing what? The helicopter was surveying the whole scene, and he had his wide-range camera just flashed out ahead, and they were going and just flying around, and then all of a sudden a beam shot out, and he reacted. He turned the camera down instead of towards the beam because he just got shocked by it. And it was coming from a plane up above. It was a green laser shining down to the ground, which people say that it's tuning into the smart meters and igniting it right then and there. So I don't know.
But this wasn't during the fire. This was a couple days later, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was during the fire and showing the aftermath of one area. There was still fires burning.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
It was in the middle of it, like just showing where it had already been started, and they'd go up to the fire line. That's where they're heading towards the fire line, and that's where that thing came from. Was at the fire line.
I did see. I was still trying to figure out though why. Okay, first of all, it's 2 days into the fire. Everything's still happening. And they're still shooting off starting fires? I mean, and why didn't more people see it?
They have. People have been seeing all over, talking about them all over.
Well, that's true. Yeah. And did you hear about the little kid who said to his dad the fire started in the house?
Yes, I heard about that. Right.
Oh, my God.
There you go.
A bunch of people said that the fire actually started from the smart meter and burned into the walls that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was very intriguing. And now that could have been, and here's another thought. We can't be too quick to judge, but maybe there was an overload in the system, and it shot back in like a little transformer and caught the thing on fire. Do you think that could be?
Well, did you see the tree that was burning on the inside? Okay, well,
I did.
Okay, well, to me, that seems to be like a microwave, because you know how a microwave, it doesn't work on dry things. Now the bark is dry. The inside of the tree, you know how the microwave actually heats up the moisture in the meal, and that's how it works. So it seems to me that it heated up the moisture in the tree and ignited the tree on the inside and left the bark, which is dry, on the outside alone. And that to me seemed to me that it was a microwave weapon.
Well, it makes sense. I still can't wrap my head around it all, though. I just can't wrap my head around it enough to say this is absolutely a microwave weapon. I got a feeling it was, but then how does this correlate to Southern California? Did they do the same exact thing down there? And I hope somebody out there is really doing their yeoman's work by comparing the two fires and how they started and what started them. And, this whole thing of blaming PG&E, though, do you think that's just a smokescreen?
Rothschilds owns it.
That's true. That's true. But they're going to get sued. They're going to lose tons and tons of money. So I don't know if the Rothschilds are ready to lose all that money. Do you think it was something? Do you think it was a coup against them?
Well, people say that China has bought the land and they owe it to China. But that just doesn't make sense to me. If China gets access to the land, they'd come in and say, okay, what's our land now? And you owe us money. So why would they destroy what's there just to take possession of it later? So that China thing doesn't make sense to me.
I agree with you on that. And I have heard that. I've heard the Japanese as well that bought up a bunch of land in Hollywood, and they own a lot of apartment buildings up there that burned. And, and I'm thinking, people don't want to lose their investments. They really don't. Yeah. So it can't be that. Very interesting stuff, I got to say. I mean, we live in wild times where you and I are sitting here on a radio show contemplating the fact that they actually started all these fires,
Yeah, like the government.
Oh, my God. It's just like,
when we go out to eat, we never agree on where to go.
I want burgers. Pizza.
Tacos it is.
The one thing we do agree on is we all want unlimited high-speed data. That's why we switched to Metro PCS.
Stop by Metro PCS with the whole family and get 4 lines with unlimited LTE data for just $100, period. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out.
Coverage not available in some areas. Offers require port-in of number not currently active on T-Mobile network. During congestion, the fraction of customers using more than 35 gigs per month may notice reduced speeds. Video streams at up to 40p. No tethering. See store for details and terms and conditions.
I was 16 or 20 years old, would I have thought that at 60 years old, I'd be sitting here having this conversation? You guys, not in a million years. James, did you ever think?
Not at all. Not at all. And you heard the latest about the airport in Atlanta. They say that was done intentionally, too.
What airport in Atlanta? What happened? I don't know nothing about this. Tell me. You
didn't know the busiest airport in the world got shut down this weekend? And
no.
1,000 flights were canceled on Sunday, and it's still a mess over there in Atlanta right now.
No, what happened? Tell me the story from the beginning. Tell the listeners, because maybe they don't watch the news either.
Well, supposedly there was some kind of electrical fire in some underground place, in some underground hole somewhere, and it caused the whole Atlanta airport to go completely dark. And
Wow.
The only place they had some power was, strangely, in the tower. So they were able to land some flights, but basically when you got to Atlanta, you're stuck there. And all the flights on the East Coast are basically all over. They did not leave. So it caused havoc.
Well, Atlanta's
all
a
over.
major hub. It's
Yeah,
Delta, and it's U.S. Airways. I think it's their hub as well. I mean, it's a major hub. So
the busiest airport in the world because it's a connection airport. Right.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. So they were shut down, and they said it was because of a fire or because of an electrical fire, or
He
what was
said
he saying?
electrical fire, and they wouldn't say where. They don't know where. They say they're still trying to find out, but that's all we heard.
Well,
And
this is very intriguing, because I was told this 20 some odd years ago by a very good psychic. He said to me, he goes, Lorien, the future doesn't look so good. And I used to say, well, what do you mean by that? And I was waiting tables at the time, and I had a dance company, and I'm doing my thing, right? And I'm like, how could it get any worse? And, this is like 25 years ago, and I go, how could it get any worse than it is now? And I thought it was bad back then, right? And he's like, Lorien, I foresee that we're going to have all kinds of disasters, and the worst part about it is it's our government doing it to us. And I used to think that was the weirdest thing that anybody ever said to me, and I never believed him. And now he's long dead. He was an astrologer, and he was a psychic, and he was a really good guy. And I really, really have a lot of respect for his knowledge. And you know what, James? I swear to God, everything he told me is coming true. He goes, he said, he goes, don't be afraid of evil and all that. He goes, be afraid of our government. He used to say that all the time. And I said, but you talk to your angels, don't you? Oh, yeah, I talk to my angels all the time. I go, well, how come they're not telling you everything's going to be okay? He goes, because it's not. Just like, great. Just what I need. Thank God my friends are honest with me, right? I mean, we don't pull punches with each other, do we?
Well, it's nasty out there because, everything that was predicted is coming true about these, they're trying to make everybody be just like everybody else with these cars. Like a Hyundai looks like a Honda, and a Honda looks like a Toyota. They all look the same. They got the same colors. And
oh, my God.
Yeah.
It's so weird you said that. I'm driving down the street yesterday, and my roommate's with me in the car, and he says to me, he goes, have you noticed? I go, noticed what? He goes, have you noticed all the cars are the same shape, and they're all 3 colors or 4 colors, and that's it? And I went, no. And I started looking around, and I said, oh my God, you're right. And we were in the parking lot, and it was a sea of gray, white, black, and every once in a while, a burgundy and a blue. Every once in a while. I'm just like, oh my God, he's right. Yeah.
It's in socialism that's trying to bring this socialist agenda in, make us all be the same. Nobody sticks out. Nobody can have a Camaro red car no more. It's all this nasty looking off blue or purple, whatever, Hondas or Toyotas.
I know.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
I know. Or the luxury high-end version of the Toyota. The Lexus is made by Toyota, I think, if I remember right. Uh-huh. And, BMW is owned by, God, who are they owned by now? Chevy? I can't remember. But whatever. The point to all this is it's all becoming the same, and no one's noticing. And I just think it's so weird. I don't get it.
And you wonder the architects. You like the architects saying, "Oh, I've got this new invention here, and this thing like here." And they're all the same. So what's going on? Are they,
All the buildings look alike. I know. It's getting real scary too. But the other problem we've got is our infrastructure. Jesus, I don't know about where you live, but where I live in California, nobody's building new stuff anymore. And we've got these old buildings everywhere, and it's getting run down and they're not being kept up. I don't know if you ever heard about it, but there was a artist warehouse in Oakland that killed 36 people last year at this time. It was in October of last year. And it was because the building was, they were stringing electrical wires here and there, and it was way under code, and the building was not maintained. And I got to tell you something, I don't know very many buildings like that aren't like that. I mean, they're all these warehouses where all these artists are at, and all these people that are, have art spaces and peer space and all this stuff. A lot of them are just old places that are ready to go up in if you drop a match on them, it's the end. And if you have an electrical fire, it's the end. And I just don't know. There's nothing being redone. It's just looking old and run down. And how's it going out there on the East Coast? Are you guys rebuilding old buildings and getting some new architecture going? Are you getting anything exciting happening? I mean, I swear, I'm worried.
Yeah, they do a lot of remodeling over here too, but not lately. They're just like tearing everything down and build new, a lot of apartments going up, because I put a lot of apartments in. There used to be you couldn't get an apartment. Now I think you can get them pretty much, but we're still putting a lot of apartments in. And like I said, construction, actually last year construction was really big the first half of the year. And you couldn't find nobody to do the job, and now everybody's looking for work.
Well, that's interesting. That is very interesting. I wonder what happened, that it would be such a boom and then suddenly just drop off like that.
Well, that's the way construction is sometimes. You get all these contracts at once, and they're all going at once, and then you need plumbers, you need carpenters, you need this. And you're fighting to get to people, and then all of a sudden there's no work. So, and everybody's fighting for a job. So
exactly. Well, in Portland, Oregon, my father was a land developer. I think I mentioned this before on the show and to you. And he built a couple Motel 6s, and he's built just a whole bunch of things over the years. Bottom line was, he always said, "I'm going to start a project in the fall," and I'd always say, "Why? It's raining and what have you." He goes, "Well, once we get the framing done and the roof on, it doesn't matter if it's raining, because we can all work. Just because it's cold and wet doesn't mean we can't build." I go, okay, cool. Or the foundation, the roof, and the framing, right? Once you get that in, you're pretty much good. And and he goes, "I can always find people to work for me in the fall and the winter, because all of them are looking for work. There's nobody building." He goes, "I can guarantee you I can get a whole project done by February if I'm putting them to work in the winter, because I'm the only job they got. They all show up." So, yeah, I don't know. Is it like that back east?
It flows. It just comes and flows. Sometimes it'd be a lot of jobs. Sometimes it's not. But this time it was 6 months of me being out of work, so it was a while, And before that,
James, that's a tough one. That's really tough. You know what? We steered so far away from your alien experiences.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. And the show's almost over. We've just been sitting here yakking like we do on the telephone. And our poor audience is probably going, "Oh, this is a snoozer show." But hey, I'm having a blast. So let's get back and talk about the aliens for the last few minutes of the show. Have you ever seen them? You have no recall at all of any of these aliens, do you?
No, I think that they were the little grays. They took me for the reptilians, so I don't know. I'd love to know. I'd love Sandy to just hypnotize me on the drop of a dime, but I don't think she's wait until like 1 o'clock in the morning until I'm ready to really get hypnotized. I'd love her to, but I think that's what it's going to take.
Have you thought about now? But you said something very telling there. You said the little grays take you for the reptilians. What does that mean? Do you know that the reptilians are behind your takings?
I think so, because I reacted to the Saurius type that got like the rounded head.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Saurian, I believe it is. Saurian. And I reacted to that.
Oh, my God. So you saw a picture of one of them and you were like, oh, my God, right?
And I also reacted to the gray, where the gray, when the alien hunter showed me the gray with his eye about an inch away from a human doing the eye thing. I reacted to that, and that's actually what led me to really believe that I had been taken. And I told Daryl, I said, I'm almost positive, and then I figured it out on the way home. And then when I saw Daryl again the second time, I says, it's almost as if I was left and right hand, had to relearn my left and right hand. He goes, oh my God, just like me. And I told him a couple other things that happened to me that I remembered. And he kept saying, oh my God, just like me. Yeah, yeah. And I
really? Now, wait, slow down a bit here. What do you mean you had to relearn? I don't get it. I mean, after the abductions, something happened to you guys?
I remember I was learning I was 3.5, and I was learning how to throw a ball. And I was throwing a ball, and I was trying to figure out, am I left-handed or right-handed? So I ended up throwing the ball with my right hand, and I was right-handed. And then after these experiences, all of a sudden I'm left-handed. It's like I had to relearn how to do things over. It's almost as if they took something out of me and didn't put it back correctly, and I had to refigure things out. And that's what Daryl agreed with. It's like you had to refigure things out on your own.
Wow. You know what? That's not the first time I've ever heard that. That's very interesting that you and Daryl figured that out, because I've had a lot of experiencers tell me it's like they took something away from me and I had to figure it all out over again. And it wasn't just being right or left-handed. It was things like, some of them couldn't drive a car right for a long time after their driving abduction. There was something weird about, like, when they put them back in the car, it was like the car was a foreign object to them. They knew how to drive it, but they weren't sure if they knew how to drive it. I don't know if I'm explaining this correctly, but it was like they'd forgotten how to drive the car, but they knew how. That's the only way they've ever said it to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah. They probably just a program and didn't quite come out right. Screen memory that they wanted to plant in them or something.
Yeah, or they may have probed so deep to say, okay, we don't want them to remember anything, and they may have accidentally tweaked another nerve that was your driving skills, and taken that away too. That's what I always believe, because I'll never forget after the 2011 experience I had at the Awaken Aware conference, where my whole life changed. For about a year afterwards, and I've been telling people this for years now, is that I saw 3 orange glowing orbs up in the sky in a triangle formation when I looked out the window, and I backed up, and then I just went to sleep. Everybody tells me that I was taken, because there's no way a triangle formation right above the house and me looking at it, and then they said I probably was looking at it as they were putting me back. Okay? Because that's usually the case, right? That you see the ship once you're being returned. And, well, that's what I think. Anyhow. So, but for a year after that, they were trying to erase my memory of seeing those 3 balls in the light, those lights in the sky in that triangle formation. Because I would wake up in the morning and it was like somebody was in my head erasing it, and I'd go, I know something's gone. And then I'd have to really think about it. And then I'd go, oh yeah, remember what happened? And then I'd have to remember the 3 balls of light in the sky, and I'd have to remember what they looked like and look at them out the window in my head again. And I went through this, James, for a year before they stopped trying to take the memory away from me. It was the weirdest sensation. It happened almost every morning for a year. Like it was like 10 and a half, 11 months. They just kept trying to erase that memory. And I don't know why. There's nothing that happened that I remember. So I don't know why it was so important for them to get rid of it. It's so bizarre. I will never understand what they're doing. Do you have any clue to why they're taking you?
I don't know. Sandy says it goes back 10 generations on the male side, and that's why I question, well, why didn't they take my brother? And that's why, well, my brother committed suicide, so that's why I always felt that they didn't want him, so they probably knew his future. So, but taken on the male side, I don't know why. My grandfather actually was a wrestler, and I inherited his strong legs. I was always a good wrestler, so they must have taken him too, from what Sandy says, and all the way back. I did have back in Crete, or one of them islands in Greece, there was a great ancestor on a horse with the same last name, a general, and he's got some statue erected of him on a horse, and I think it's Crete in Greece. So I don't know if that's got something to do with it, that he was a leader, or could have been before that. I don't know. I'd have to trace my lineage, and then my last name's been changed too inadvertently. So I do know it was Hiokos. So maybe I'll trace it one of these days and see what I got.
Yeah. Have you ever done one of those ancestry blood tests?
No, I'm thinking of doing it, and
Me too.
get on the ancestry.com and check it out.
Yeah, it's on sale right now for $69 instead of like $89 or $100. So it might be a good time to do it. I'm thinking about it.
I should have got it when it was 39.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Me too. I don't know why we waited so long. Oh, well, those darn pesky aliens, they just don't want us to know anything that they're doing. I swear to God. See, this is the problem, James. Right, what you and I are talking about tonight's the problem with the whole disclosure thing that's going on. It's going to separate the people like yourself who've had experiences like me, who've had my angels, and all the experiences I had. It's going to separate us right down the line and away from all those military people that are saying, UFOs are real. Because you and I know they're real. I mean, real is not the issue anymore. What the issue is who are the aliens behind it and what's their agenda? And they're not even talking about that, are they?
No, well, before they used the people in, it was like they're bad, and now I think they're using Tom DeLonge because he's with the kids, and they want the new generation to think that they're all loving and all good. That's
Tom is saying that they're all bad, and we got to shoot them out of the sky. So I'm not.
Is that what he's saying?
Yeah, that's what he's saying. It's scaring the bejesus out of me. That's what he wants the young kids to believe. So. What can you do? Well, okay, sweetie, the show's almost over, and I got to say happy holidays to you, your family, and I'm so glad you're going back to work. That's just really wonderful. And
I'm not.
I know, but then you'll be able to come to the conferences because you'll have the money, see?
I can do that anyway. You got credit cards.
Oh, you're killing me. That's funny. And happy holidays to everybody else out there. And next week you'll get the holiday special. It'll be here for you. And just thanks everybody for a wonderful 2017. And 2018 is going to be remarkable. And I'll see you right after the holidays. Take care, everyone. Good night.
Yeah. Happy holidays.
When we go out to eat, we never agree on where to go.
I want burgers. Pizza.
Tacos it is.
The one thing we do agree on is we all want unlimited high-speed data. That's why we switched to Metro PCS.
Stop by Metro PCS with the whole family and get 4 lines with unlimited LTE data for just $100, period. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out.
Coverage not available in some areas. Offers require port and of number not currently active on T-Mobile network. During congestion, the fraction of customers using more than 35 gigs per month may notice reduced speeds. Video streams at up to 40p. No tethering. See store for details and terms.